very important week in the church. This is Catholic Schools Week beginning. And we have several groups with us today of very important people to Catholic schools. First, we have our faculty, administrators, staff, and support, our principal from Holy Family Regional Catholic School. So I'd invite them to stand. Our faculty, our catechists, teachers. Thank you. They do such an important job every day of the tradition of Catholic education begun in this country. The history of spirituality largely belongs to Europe. You have various saints in the church for thousands of years in Europe. And of course, we came along late, 1776, so 250 some years. And America hasn't had a chance to produce a lot of big spiritual things to give to the church. We've done two. The first is the system of Catholic education. There is no country in the world that has a system of Catholic education as the United States of America does. There are systems, but there's none like ours. When the rest of the world wants to learn about Catholic education, they come here, and we send it. It's been 250 years. And we did it because we were oppressed. As minorities in this country when we first came, as immigrants, we were oppressed. We were given no, and the first thing our ancestors did, they didn't build churches first, they built schools first. Because you could say Mass in a school, and then later you build the church. So Catholic teachers have always been at the forefront of that movement. The second is the formulation of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Each of those 12 steps is in the spiritual tradition of the church somewhere over the centuries. But to formulate them in 12 was done in the United States. So the 12-step formulation and Catholic education, the great gift of the United States to the rest of the church. And we here, our teachers, are on the forefront of that. But there's another group of very important people here, and they are the students of Holy Family Regional Catholic School. So I'd ask them to please stand. And don't sit down. Come on up here, everybody. Come on up here along the front. Even our altar servers. Come on up here and sit down on the steps here in the front. And if your younger brother or sister is a future student, they can come up too. Come on up. And if we have any future students, they can wander up too. Wherever you like, just have a seat, even around the corner. Very good. And every generation of the Catholic Church in the United States, this is the center. Every generation. I remember when I went to Immaculate Heart of Mary School in Roxborough, I saw the pictures of the church being founded. And the first thing they built was the school. And I remember seeing pictures of the priest in the 1950s saying Mass in the school. And I said to my mom, she said there was no church. I said, why are they saying Mass in the school? Everybody was there. Everybody was in suits and ties out the doors. It's the school. And she said, because the school's what's most important. Because the school, you can have Mass in a school and children learn in the school, and then you build the church later. So here it is, right here, the beauty of our future, right here. Now I ask their parents to stand. All moms and dads, everyone, please stand. And today we have open house, so please be seated. I won't ask you to come up. Today we have open house. So the students will be over there to welcome you after Mass and later this morning. But I want to ask you, by raising your hand, we still do that. I had to do that too. If you could raise your hand, what do you think is the most important, what's your favorite part of going to Holy Family? You can get to learn. What's your name? Riley. Riley, what's yours?
Going to church.
Going to church. You get to learn. We have Mass every single month here. I would like to do it where we have Mass with all the families and all the students once a month here in church. I would like to have Mass on Sunday at 9:30 once a month here in church with all of them, everybody from Holy. I'd like to do it with our prep too. Our prep, where they come, students who come on Wednesday night to learn about Jesus, where we do Mass with them once a month. So that's a task. I can't do it. You can. That's what I'd like to do. To learn, to come here to Mass, and pray. Is this your brother? Are you going to go to Holy Family too? Yes, you are. Wonderful. Excellent. What else? What's your favorite? What's your name? River. What's your favorite part? Meeting different friends every year. To meet different friends every single year. Well, when we come to church and we meet friends and we pray and we learn, who is the key person at Holy Family? When we come to church, we meet friends and we pray, who is the key person that we meet? Anybody? Austin, you're going to raise your hand. You're thinking about it. You want me to call on you or come back to you? All right. You want me to ask Dylan? Dylan. Jesus. He's the one. Jesus is the one. So I'm going to talk to everybody about Jesus. Do you want to sit here or do you want to go back to the pew for a minute? You want to stay here? All right. So stay here. I'm going to have my back to you, so Jesus. In the gospel, Jesus, it's the Gospel of Luke, and it's the beginning of the Gospel of Luke. And Jesus goes into the synagogue to teach. That's what he does. We often want the Jesus who walks on water. We want the Jesus, my brother says it every Thanksgiving. He asks me if I'm going to multiply the food, like Jesus. We want the Jesus who does the miracles, who multiplies the food, who fixes everything. Former future athlete at Holy Family, CYO, sign up. You want to try to get past me? You think you can? Hey. And his shoes light up. Wow. Track team. You have to sign him up, Mrs. Vivas. Track this afternoon. To meet Jesus. And what does Jesus do? The first place he goes is the synagogue to teach. That's his activity. He goes to teach, to meet Jesus. And what does he want to do? He says in the list, he looks at the book of Isaiah, and one of the things he says, to let the oppressed go free. To let the oppressed. Those who are crushed. If we look the word up, in its original language, it means those who are crushed by calamity. What's your calamity? I was thinking about this past week. And after the snow that we just had, I had to get a haircut, so I was driving over to Media. And I set up with a place over there. It was 2 days, a day after the snow. I love going to Media. I hate parking in Media. Let me say, I hate arranging for parking Media. So they have that garage. So I went into the garage and I parked, and somebody put a little sign up that says, "Do not back in, front facing only." I didn't see the little sign. And they're very serious about that. So I got a little note. But the part I don't like is I have to go to that machine. I would love to just put quarters in, but I had to stand at the machine. And the first question I failed. I flunked. I flunked parking at Media. So I tried to put the thing, and they asked my license number. I don't know my license number. The police know my license. I don't know my license. The man who gave me the ticket knows my license number. I don't know it. So I had to go back, memorize it, Came back, I forgot it, I got it wrong. I had to go back, take a picture, then I couldn't find it on my phone. Meanwhile, there's a line behind me, forming. And I started to feel anxious, embarrassed, like I couldn't use the machine. Like the credit card never works the first time in those machines. And I started to feel worried and oppressed. Those who start to feel crushed. I hear a lot of noise. Is it okay behind me? Is it okay? Oh, you tumble too. So you did all right. So I'm starting to think, why is this? Why do I suddenly start feeling embarrassed? Do you ever feel embarrassed? What did you feel embarrassed at this week where you just started going down, down, down? My fault. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even. We hide it from most people, but every one of us has that. That's something going on in us. And I was walking around media for my haircut. I was walking around media, and I noticed that certain sidewalks, by the way, were very clear. Salt everywhere. Other ones still had snow. It was all the lawyers' offices that had salt. All the law offices were perfect. But I'm walking, I think, why do I feel crushed? And I thought back to a time when I was 12, when I went to Catholic school. And I remember my mom wasn't feeling well. She was 56. She wasn't feeling well. And she had to go into the hospital, and she went into a place called the ICU, the intensive care unit. And we would go every night to see her for like a week. And I remember my brother, he's 4 years older than me. I was in 7th grade, so I was 12. It was the first time in 79 I had ever seen an automatic door. Now they're everywhere for ADA, for handicap access, etc. They were nowhere. And I wondered why. So we would race down the hallway every night that we went to see her, because I wanted to be first to hit the automatic door to open the ICU unit. And they said, well, they have it there in case they're working on someone and they can't do the door. They have to, boom, right through. Well, then a call came that my mom took a turn for the worse. And it was on a Monday. And I remember they came, took us to the hospital. We walked down the hall, and I looked at the automatic door. And I didn't want it to open. I didn't want to see what was behind that door. Every other night we raced down to hit it that day. And I thought of that on the streets of Meaty. When a calamity happens to you and me, things get stuck within us. Things get stuck within us, and we start to think it's our fault. It starts to oppress us. It starts to press down. That's what Jesus comes to free us from. What is it that hits our chronic impatience, our chronic embarrassment, the worry? Whatever it is lodged in our past that sits there, Jesus wants to free us from it. And that's why the teaching is so important. Every day at Holy Family, they meet the healer. The healing doesn't happen in a week or 10 days. It doesn't happen in a month or a year. It happens over years. It happens over years. And so the person you meet, boys and girls, Jesus, he's the one. Always look to Jesus. Remember, always look to Jesus. Because he's the one who frees us and loves us and welcomes us. Okay? Good idea?
Good idea.
All right. You ready to go back with your moms and dads? Maybe? Just maybe. I think you can. Pardon? You want another minute? All right. Well, I think it might be good if everybody stand up one more time. Just stay where you are. So every day, about 300 yards that way, they meet Jesus the healer. The good news is Jesus the healer is here too. And he wants to come into our hearts to free us, liberate us, and deliver us from everything. So keep coming, keep being here, and he will release us. Let's show our gratitude for our students again. Okay, goodbye. Okay, go ahead. Everybody make it back okay?